I'm joined by none other than Malrang, the jungler of Rogue, ahead of their match against Mad Lions, and this interview will actually be conducted in Korean. So welcome to the LEC interview, Malrang, and 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 말란 선수는 이렇게 한국어로 ADC 부대에서 인터뷰를 하는 것도 참 신기하고 재미있는 것 같습니다. 일단 좀 있으면 매드 라이온즈를 상대할 예정이신데 지금 각오나 소감은 어떠신가요?
일단 저희가 저번 주에 많이 못했는데
네.
이번 주에 스크림 하면서 많이 나아져가지고 이길만 할 것 같습니다.
아, 어떤 면에서 이번 주 스크림이 저번 주 스크림보다 좀 나았다고 생각을 하시나요? 뭐 자세한 거를 못 말씀해 주시겠지만 그래도 좀 많이 궁금해지네요.
일단 제가 저번 주에 좀 많이 못했었는데 저도 많이 나아졌고 저희 팀 친구들도 괜찮아져서 전승의 로고로 다시 돌아온 것 같아요.
어떤 면에서 좀 자신의 좀 저번 주 경기력이 아쉬웠다고 말씀을 하고 계세요. 왜냐하면 로그가 그 전에도 정말 좋은 연승을 달리고 있기는 했잖아요. 맞죠?
네, 근데 제가 저번 주에 해야 할 역할을 못해서 졌던 것 같아요.
아,
라인전 실수도 있긴 했지만 네.
어떤 면이 그게 어떤 역할일까요?
그거는 말씀드릴 수가 없는데.
네, 알겠습니다. 그렇지 않아도 많은 사람들이 좀 궁금해했던 부분일 것 같아요. 왜냐하면 로고가 그 전만 해도 1라운드를 무패로 간다는 전승을 향하고 있었는데 좀 저번 주에 아쉽게도 아스트랄리스라 미스피츠 상대로 2패를 했기는 하거든요. 뭐 말랑 선수 개인적으로 말고도 전체적으로 팀 내에서 어떤 피드백이 있었는지 조금만 이야기해 주면 감사할 것 같아요. 뭐 로그 내에서는 패를 어떻게 받아들였는지 이런 부분?
일단 조금 1라운드 전승해서
네.
살짝 풀러진 것도 있고, 일단 제가 폼이 안 좋았어서
네.
네, 저는 딱히 할 말이 없네요.
아이고 어떡해. 그리고 또 사람들이 궁금증을 가져왔던 부분이 저번 주에 로그의 픽적으로도 좀 과감한 픽을 시도해서 그게 좀 패에 얼마 정도 영향을 끼치지 않았나 이런 이야기들이 있었어요. 이것에 대해서는 어떻게 생각하세요?
저는 뱀픽은 딱히 문제 없었다고 보고
네.
뱀픽에 맞는 플레이를 못했다고 생각합니다.
그리고 또 한 가지 더 궁금했던 점이 아무래도 말란 선수가 좀 로고에서 상대적으로 라이너들을 많이 뭐 챙겨주고 CS를 포기하는 그런 플레이 스타일을 보여주면서 또 대단히 성공적이기도 했었잖아요. 그런데 최근에 다른 선수들의
네.
인터뷰를 보면 얼마 정도 이런 말랑 선수의 플레이 스타일을 따라잡으려고 하거나 말랑 선수의 플레이 스타일이 약간 파해가 되었다. 이런 이야기들도 존재를 하는 것 같아요. 이런 시점에 대해서는 뭐 말랑 선수를 개인적으로 어떻게 생각하세요?
딱히 생각해 본 건 없는데 그런 것 같진 않습니다. 네.
네, 알겠습니다. 그렇다 마지막으로 매드 라이언즈 각오 한 말씀만 듣고 마치면 될 것 같습니다.
가고 일단 저번 주랑은 다른 경기력으로 한번 잘 이겨보도록 하겠습니다.
네, 알겠습니다.
감사합니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 저희도 많은 기대해 보겠습니다. 인터뷰 정말 감사드립니다. 수고하셨습니다. And we'll be back.
감사합니다.
And I'll be heading it right over to videos at the analyst desk for an in-depth look on the Rogue versus Mad match.
Thank you very much, Ashley. And I'm excited to welcome Treats to the analyst desk. But before we hear from Treats, you will see the players arriving at the studio for our final game of the day. I have been informed that the players have been, in fact, keeping their spirits high coming into today's matchup, as they have been playing a game known as Hacky Sack, where they apparently use a bag filled with, I don't know, sand or some material and throw it between each other.
Like a
Treats,
beanbag.
are you familiar with the game named Hacky Sack?
I'm unfortunately not familiar with that game, no.
Strange technology is being brought. There we are, we're seeing it on our screens right now. The strange technology known as Hacky Sack. It appears
Have you never seen a beanbag?
Apparently they're playing it incorrectly. Not that I could possibly understand this. But anyway, moving away from this, Treats, let's quickly hear from you on your win. How do you feel about beating G2?
I mean, obviously it feels really good. It was a super necessary win for us. And I think it shows that when we actually have a good early game, we can compete against the best in Europe. And obviously having good early games is something that we're going to keep looking to have and make the games cleaner from there.
For sure. Do you think there's anything in this game specifically that helped you guys come out ahead against G2? Or do you think that it's just a result of a lot of practice that you guys have been working towards this point?
I mean, it's definitely practice related. We've had a lot of games playing from behind, right? So we're kind of experts at that. So now we're trying to incorporate some stronger early games as well and have champions that also help with that. So I think it's definitely come from a lot of good practice and just trying to make the early game a bit simpler and just have better goals in general.
Okay, so one of the things that we've seen in this split as well is a lot of our bottom teams really do well in the last couple of weeks. Seems like something has really changed about the way that you're all approaching the game. Do you think there was anything that changed about the mentality that you've approached the last couple of weeks of LEC?
I mean, definitely when you take a few losses, you start to question if you're doing stuff correctly and if it's good to keep going on the same path, right? And I think we just came to a conclusion that we should all just start building more trust for each other and trust in the process. And I think this win against G2 shows that it's actually working, and we'll keep going on this path forward as well.
Well, it is great to hear the positivity in SK Treats, but I need to move us ahead towards our final match of the day between the Mad Lions and Rogue. And fortunately, not only are you a support expert, but you're a bit of a jungle expert too, given your recent experience. So we wanted to start by talking about Malrang. We did just hear an interview from him, and one of the questions that has been going around is, has Malrang been figured out? What do you think, Treats?
I mean, I think he doesn't really have that kind of playstyle that everyone describes him to have. I think he's obviously had really strong early games for Rogue, but I think that's also kind of what Rogue wanted from him. So I would say that he kind of got figured out in this early game style, like ganking style, but I think he also is skilled enough to swap it around, right? And I think it's a team game and a team meta, and I think Rogue were just bought in on the early game ganking junglers, right? But I think that can change.
Okay, so speaking of like the early game ganking jungles and stuff, obviously Rogue had a very cohesive early game with like their jungle support as well. Do you think that Rogue is doing anything particularly special in their jungle support? Because obviously you've got experience in both roles.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general they have good synergy, Malrang and Trymbi. I think Trymbi also have played a lot of strong laning picks, like the Enchanters, which has synergized well with the ganking style of Malrang. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep playing for this, which not a lot of other teams in Europe are currently doing. So if they keep doing that and get really good at it, maybe that will be their speciality, and they won't really be figured out in that sense. But they might also swap it around and play some more engaged stuff again.
Okay, so in terms of the other side, we also need to speak a little bit about Elyoya. He was someone that you got to play against, well, not too long ago, and I'm sure that that experience must have been a unique one, because he sort of rose to prominence last year as one of the strongest junglers in Europe. And I feel like that when we look at Mad Lions, he continues to be a very strong performer and core carry for that team. So what do you think about him as a player right now?
I mean, I think his performance in the last two splits were better so far than his performance this split.
Okay.
I think this split, his stats are looking pretty good, and like, in general, he's not playing bad, right? But I think he's played a lot of farming champs and a lot of carry champs where all eyes are on him, and it hasn't really worked for them. So I'm interested to see if he'll go back to the more team-oriented style with like the Volibear and the Hecarim and stuff like this, or if he will just like keep playing his own game, right? And then hoping that his teammates are helping him around.
And Amira, we talked at the beginning of the day about the team that won't be making it to playoffs.
Yeah.
You did mention that you believe that Mad was that team, and we are obviously now going to get a chance to see Mad Lions after their difficult week last week. Is Elyoya one of the players that you're keeping your eyes on?
Yeah, and I think actually a lot of it does come down to what you were just saying about, you know, the style which Elyoya has. It feels like he's playing for more of an individual advantage, and I'm not entirely sure that kind of fits into things. Do you think that Elyoya can play more of a self-centric style to a win, or do you think that's just not feasible at all in the meta?
I think definitely can. I just think it's kind of like Rogue, where the team has decided on a meta and he's trying to play it as good as he can, obviously, right? So I think maybe with the losses that both Rogue and Mad have had, they might look to swap it around and try to copy other teams in the LEC. But outside of that, obviously, he's a skilled player, so he can definitely play different styles if he's needed to.
Okay, so last week you did get to play against Mad, and we wanted to talk a little bit about the draft that happened between the two teams, because one of the things that Mac talked to us a little bit about in PGL last week was that he thought that they were pushing Mad's drafts just a little bit too much. Now, I'm not sure if you can see the drafts on your screen, but perhaps you just remember them, the game with your Akali in the mid lane, the fact that they were playing things like the Jayce and the Viego. What do you think about this draft in particular, and if you have any other comments about Mad's draft in general?
I think this draft in general made sense against our draft. I think it was also made way easier just from us running it down on bot and them getting a bad jinx in early game. That didn't really help the draft situation from our end. But I think in general, the way that they have drafted is kind of like prio lanes, but not a lot of engage.
Yeah.
So they would have like Viego plus Braum, which is kind of a weird combo, I would say. So I don't think this is really what's working in LEC right now, and I think that they will change it up for today.
Okay, but speaking of why it's not working in the LEC, I think my read on it is that it's great if you don't make mistakes, but then obviously they got picked off like twice really close to the Baron. Do you think this is a kind of style of play which could work in LEC if they kind of tighten it up, or is it just really not fit for purpose?
I mean, obviously, any style should be able to work in any league, right? But players are not robots, and mistakes will happen. So in theory, I think a draft like this can work, but they have to play it really clean and crisp and not really get engaged on, which is hard when you're playing against Akali, Hecarim, and Leona. Like, if we don't find an angle on their jinx, then we're probably just inting it. So
Fair point.
I think from that perspective, it's like they're kind of playing like the defense, and we're playing offense. But it's hard to play defense when the offensive side has a Hecarim with 5,000 moon speed.
And I think that this is something that we've also kind of shared the opinion of when it comes to Mad Lions. They aren't quite the same Mad Lions that they were last year, right? They don't have that same superstar mid lane power and Humanoid who could often be that late game reliable carry if they ever needed it, or that massive mid lane roaming presence. And I think that things like the Aurelia we've also seen in the mid lane have also been difficult to execute. And I think that drafting easier win conditions is something that I think that I would like to see from the Mad Lions at the very least. And I think that going against Rogue today, they're not the type of team that I typically expect to throw a lot of curveballs in the draft. But I mean, I don't want you to tell us about all the scrims that may be happening behind the scenes, but what are your expectations in terms of what you think these teams' priorities will be coming into this draft today?
I think the biggest talking point is probably has to be Reeker, right? Because he's played Victor or he's played melee mids with little to no success. So I think it will be interesting to see if he has maybe picked up another mage or something like the Ryze and stuff like this. And if he has, then I think it could make the Mad Lions comp way easier to play.
Okay, well, as you may have noticed, viewers at home, we will have Treats joining us for the draft. We will get his expert analysis as we dive into the picks and bans. Diana and Twisted Fate will be removed so far, so nothing too crazy. That Diana clearly a target pick towards Elyoya, kind of removing some of that carry style that we've already been talking
also
about.
It stops Reeker having a really obvious job, which I think is quite helpful for that player, because, you know, we were talking about the Victor or melee mids. Obviously, Reeker had a lot of success in the ERLs, playing a lot of melee mids, but on the LEC stage, if Elyoya isn't really teeing up for him, it's felt a little bit hard to land. So yeah, maybe this is again kind of just Rogue saying, we're just going to constrain you just to playing the Victor.
Okay, well, we do see the Jinx removed. Victor also going to be removed from the side of Mad Lions.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Is there anything that immediately jumps out to you, Treats, here?
I mean, I would say probably the Ryze for Rogue. I think if you ban TF on red side and leave Ryze open, then it's probably going to be the pick that Rogue end up picking. So it'll be interesting to see if Mad ban it on third here, or if they just give it over to Larssen and have a counter pick ready for Reeker.
Typically, if the Ryze is given over, we would usually see something plus Xin Zhao. That's usually been the go-to that we've been seeing in terms of the B1, B2 answer from Red. Do you think that Mad Lions is a team that typically looks to prioritize their early AD carry alongside?
I mean, they have sometimes, right, with the Jinx for Unforgiven, and I think he can also play Aphelios. So I think if... okay, I mean, now Ryze is still open, so I would like to see Reeker pick it.
Well, that's the thing for me, is right, because I think that Mad Lions is saying, sure, go on. First pick the Ryze, see what happens, because if you leave the Aphelios up with like none of the other scaling DPS carries in bot side, then you have a real problem in teamfight regardless of what the mid lane matchup is. So I actually quite like what Mad Lions have done. They still secured themselves that Ryze, but now they need to give something to Unforgiven, who has, of course, been a great addition to this roster in this year. But I'm interested in seeing what their answer is to the Aphelios. I doubt they want to lock in something like double AP for like mages and stuff, but I don't know really what's left in terms of the correct carry department for them.
I mean, Jhin
I think it kind of depends on the carries as well, right? Because I think that if they want to go for something that counters him in lane, they can go like Jhin or Senna to punish the push that Aphelios doesn't really have in early game, which they lock in the Jhin, so like, that kind of is like an easy answer for them, right?
Okay, now, oh wow, oh, okay, so clearly they were happy to give the Ryze over. Orianna, typically a good answer into the Ryze, and we know that Larssen is a very confident control mage mid lane player, so Larssen's feeling pretty confident in this matchup, and we've also been seeing a lot of Graves top. I imagine that many pro teams right now in Europe consider this champion to be pretty OP right now, given the whole breaker itemization.
So I'd love to get your opinion on something, because there's something which has changed midway through this split. We used to see a lot of early pick junglers who were seeing first pick Jhin and stuff. Now I'm looking at this draft and saying, ooh, Trundle looks really good here and stuff. Is this something, are we seeing later pick junglers because a lot of other random jungle counter picks are coming out, or is it another reason just for prioritizing other lanes?
I think in general, it's kind of a mix of both laners having really OP champions. A lot of the Arcane batches champs are really OP, so you can pick them early in the rotation. And there's just so many junglers that are OP, like there's Jarvan, Lee Sin, Sinzao, Hecarim, right? The list goes on and on. So I think in general, if you have other OP things to take, you're really happy just leaving jungle for 4-5.
Okay, so, well, right now it looks like Mad Lions are removing some of the support options. Does that suggest to you that they're looking for an early support pick so that they can save jungle counter pick?
I mean, I think jungle counterpick can have a role. I don't really see which jungle that Elyoya would go for that completely counters the enemy comp with Jarvan being banned. So I think maybe they're just looking for like a Rakan for Kaiser on the 4 with the Thresh ban, or they might just also pick a jungler like Sinzao, right? I think that it just gives them both options.
But I think when Malrang's been at his best, it has been when he has a winning jungle matchup that can brawl basically with not having to worry about the enemy jungler. So obviously there are some things which he's played, like the Trundle, which Zanzar has played a lot as well. I wonder if this is just a really quick and easy Leona lock-in, just for the Jhin-Leona combo in lane, and then just allowing Elyoya a bit more room for maneuver. But then, of course, there are, as you said, so many powerful junglers up.
Okay. So, Lee, obviously a very strong top side for the Mad Lions. Very reminiscent of what we would see from the Mad Lions last year. Rogue gone for a little bit more of the scaling typical team fight. Yep. This looks like very similar to what you drafted last week against the Mad Lions. Treats, what do you think of Rogue's comp so far?
Yeah, I guess Rogue saw how you win against Mad Lions and decided to copy. No, but I think in general, like the Hecarim Ori combo is like a really old combo that's very OP, right? So I think it makes sense against the carries on Mad Lions, which are kind of vulnerable, I would say. So that just is really good matchup for Malrang, and it's not really the early style jungle that he's played before, but it's something that really hard outscales the Lee Sin.
That makes a lot of sense. So you now see all of Rogue's comp. Is there a pick here in support that counters all of it?
I mean, I would just go Leona. I think they need a front line. Like, I think you just lock in Leona and then you just pray that Elyoya finds some good kicks.
Okay, so will they round things out with the Leona? It looks like that they're going to. So they will have that element of front line. So let's start with Treats. Tell me what you think of the two comps and which comp you prefer.
I think Rogue's comp is very easy to play, and if Mad Lions don't really find a goal advantage in early game, they will just outscale heavily. So I think it's kind of up to Mad Lions to find these early plays that are on top with the Ryze and try to make sure that bot lane is even, right? I think Rogue won the draft for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Mad Lions are a team that wants stack up dragons with the Jayce and then force the enemy team to come to the later dragons when the Jayce is actually powerful. I don't think they're going to get to do that this game, and I feel like Rogue are going to have a much easier time of it.
Okay, now, Nymera, you have typically been wrong all day so far, so I'm going to give you one opportunity to flip-flop. Are you sure you don't want to gamble on Mad Lions right now?
No, the curse is set. Good luck, Mad Lions.
Okay, so I think that it comes back to what we were talking about earlier on with Mad Lions draft, though. I think we can all agree that this is another situation where the burden of execution falls onto the Mad Lions. We need to see them having a clean early game, transitioning into then leveraging that lead to snowball the rest of the game. So, final thoughts from you, Nymera, before we jump into the game. Predictions. Do you want to go for the Rogue win, or do you think Mad will take it?
I think it's going to be a Rogue win. I think they have so many powerful champions, which if they survive that early game, they're going to get to that point, and they have a lot of winning lanes to get to that.
Okay, Treats, final thoughts from you. Rogue, Mad, who do you think is going to take it?
I think Rogue will weather the storm in early game and maybe be like 1k behind at 15, but then they're going to outscale and win the game.
Okay. Very, very good stuff. Now, we will be jumping onto the Rift for our final game of the day very, very soon. This is a rematch of the Spring 2020 finals between Rogue and Mad. This is the budding rivalry that continues to build up here in the LEC. It was Rogue that got the better of their rivals the first time round that they met, and it looks like that they are going to do the same thing again. Now, we are experiencing an ever so slight delay, so that means that we do in fact get to talk a little bit more. Of course, we have outlined a lot in terms of the compositions, but something that I do want to talk about is early laning phase. Treats, when we look at these early lanes, you did talk about how the expectation is for Mad to try and find advantages by primarily attacking the top side, but is bot lane something that they can actually try to leverage? Jhin Leona seems to be a very powerful 2v2 that might also give them some options.
Yeah, for sure. I think the early bot side for Mad has a better push in the 2v2, and having the Ryze plus Lee Sin combo with the kill pressure on Orianna, it should give them mid push as well. So I think it will just be like Mad has the option to get kills in both top, mid, and the bot, so it's kind of like where do they choose and how well do they execute it. And if they play really well and get an advantage on either side, I think it will be kind of a nice game from them there on out.
And I think the great thing about that is that, you know, you're talking about options to kill in all these lanes. We were just talking about, oh, is Elyoya going to go back to supporting his lanes? Is he going to go back to playing the team style? Seems like it's a great game for him.
When I think of Elyoya last year, one of the things that I noted was he actually seemed to be quite flexible as a jungler. He was someone that was willing to actually really commit to ganking lanes. Like, I remember him like committing with Humanoid to roaming towards bot. They would also set up those multiple man dives top lane. So we know that that playstyle does exist within his wheelhouse. And the question is, can he actually pull off the execution? Because would you agree, Treats, that a lot of the burden of responsibility falls on him and maybe Kaiser in the early game to make stuff happen?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, I think Armut has struggled in a lot of the lanes so far that he has had counter pick in as well. So that makes the jungle and support duo have to make picks happen, right? Because AD and mid are kind of setup lanes.
Okay.
So it's definitely fell onto them.
Got it. Well, it sounds like that we are about ready to get into games. So without further ado, it's time for Rogue versus Mad.
Let's get on into it. Mad versus Rogue for the second time in 2022. So far, it's 6-3 in Rogue's favor in the regular season since 2020 when these teams joined the LEC. Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Since Mad joined the LEC, at least. And it is looking very Rogue favored from the draft, according to Treats, according to Nymera, according to Vedius. Everyone thinks this one is coming back to Rogue, who currently on a 2-game losing streak.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into why that is as well.
Sure.
Because it is just because of the outscale aspect you get from the side of Rogue. Once we come to these late game team fights where the game is often defined, it just seems like Rogue has a little bit of an edge. And especially because Malrang is finally on a full clear jungler now. One that doesn't get too much done in the early game, but it's more about finding plays with the Orianna at level 6. You get the ball on her, you get the extra movement speed, and that's the truth told combo with Hecarim and Orianna. Now, Mad Lions have ways to punish on the other side of the map, though, on the top side. And I'm just going to hold my breath a little because now they're looking on combat. He didn't actually see them.
Or did he?
He didn't.
Ping came out on the bush.
Or did it now?
And they begin to retreat. Now, Sweeper pushing forward. Comp and Trymbi backing away. No ward placed. Trymbi will sneak his way into this bush. They know now that Lee Sin is doing this. And Trymbi won't want this fight, just wants the vision, wants the information that this red buff is being stolen.
So let's see how much Elyoya can actually get out of this, because right now Malrang is solo starting on the top side, but I think he's dual clearing his camps right now. No, he's actually only doing one. Quite often what you see is that you'll see them start off the blue buff, then they'll move on towards the Grump immediately, and they'll start doing him at the same time. You can allow yourself to do this because you get here 2 extra pots. Hecarim has a lot of sustain in his kit, and Grump does give you HP when you take it down. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Elyoya is going to start clearing his blue side, or if he's going to make his way through the mid lane, up towards his top side, and take care of his red buff to completely just 3 buff clear against Malrang.
Elyoya was spotted on ward for a second there, so Larssen knew to be a little bit safer. Elyoya has worked away towards this top side, and actually looks like it is going to be that 3 buff that you were talking about. The map could have been split, Mad Lions having their jungle and their bot side on that bottom side, leaving Armut a little bit on the weak. But Malrang actually has taken a little bit of time after clearing this blue side jungle, now going down towards bottom. Maybe thought that his Razorbeaks were still up, maybe even looking to get the Scuttle Crab.
Problem for this is that the bot lane right now for Mad Lions is gaining priority. Now an early ward has come out for them just to try and get the shove in, but is the ward deep enough? Will they be ready if Trymbi just flashes forward when Malrang comes in?
Now looking for it, here comes Malrang, Ghost has been popped, Flash hook onto Unforgiven, Ignite going down as well. Zenith play for Kaiser to get away, but Unforgiven does not have the same luxury. First blood to Rogue.
Yeah, and just like that, we said Mad Lions, they need to get ahead in the early game. They can't fall too far behind, and it's a stacked wave by Mad Lions bot lane, but the cover is just not there for them, and they finally go down. So Malrang, he doesn't get to clear out the camps, but clearing up a first blood, definitely something you are happy about.
Get you just that little bit of extra gold in your back pocket, actually going across to comp as well. Summoner's burnt for Trymbi, but Unforgiven and Kaiser do still have theirs, so it does give an option for Elyoya to look towards this bottom lane for a gank. Level 6 would make it a little bit easier for him, but with a Leona to set you up, you could try and lock down this Nautilus.
Now Malrang has a lot of time here, so what he's going to do is he's going to hover his bot lane, which is essentially allowing them to stack up this wave, push it in, and then recall. He doesn't need to be ready for a gank, he just needs to be ready for the counter gank, secure his bot lane, can get this off to safety, and then they can look for the replay. So Malrang does this perfectly, and yes, we are just going to have a map reset where Malrang can start clearing his top side again when it spawns momentarily.
And that is the battle that we expected to happen between Malrang and Elyoya. They talked about it a lot on the analyst desk, but Malrang has been very active in the early game, spending a lot of time around his team and falling behind in CS and experience early on, whereas Elyoya's actually spent an equal amount of time around his team, but gets more CS, gets more experience, more about getting himself ahead than getting these ganks off and getting his team ahead.
Yeah, and you can see that at the CS deficit, Malrang is allowing himself to drop camps a lot of times, and it's an interesting conversation, which I'm going to hold on to, because Trymbi might be in a little bit of danger, but he did spot either Kaiser or Elyoya right here, and he's going to back off. I've seen a lot of people describe Malrang's pathing as a kind of flip jungle pathing, because you allow yourself to fall behind by not always taking your camps immediately. But I don't think essentially that's true. It's still a calculated risk that you're going for. You know, majority of laners are so used to trying to jungle track someone who's just doing standard pathing. So when you suddenly start doing something that's catching them off guard, that gets your laners ahead. When you don't understand it, you're just like, that's dumb. But no, Malrang makes it work. Now, I will say, it can be punished, and that's why it's dumb. But we don't see Malrang gets punished quite often, and that's why it still works for them.
Has been a struggle last week where Astralis first and I think it was Misfit second were able to track Malrang in the early game, keep him under reps, and pick up a couple of wins.
Now, I will say that whole week for Rogue, to me, seems like they were just disjointed in communications. When I was taking a look at the game back again, it seemed like they were just on wrong pages. When they went for the red buff play that many people think that just cost them the early game completely, bot lane had priority, but then they moved the win, but Malrang wanted to go in. So what I'm essentially saying is just they had different plans to go ahead and move with. The same happened in mid lane later when Larssen was getting pushed in, and Malrang just wasn't around to hover. So it just seemed like a lot of miscommunication from Rogue. And Odo was saying on his stream as well that it wasn't something they've been dealing with a lot. It was just an off week they were having in those 2 games.
Definitely happens. We've seen it happen to the best of teams. Sometimes you're just not on form on the day. Right now, though, Elyoya and Kaiser teaming up to gain more control of this jungle. About a 2, maybe 3 camp lead for Elyoya in the jungle right now. He's hit level 5. Malrang still only at level 4. We've talked a lot about the junglers. Bot lane has a little bit of an advantage here. Trymbi spending a bit more time with comp means that Unforgiven's being forced back, but there's a realm war possibility here for Reeker, and Trymbi has no flash. Flash follow-up, and here comes Elyoya and Reeker. Comp uses the cleanse, Trymbi will be sacrificed. Mad Lions happy to just get 1 kill out of this. Let's see where it goes. I wonder if they want to give it over to Reeker instead. Elyoya secures it.
Yeah, Elyoya picks it up, makes it sure he can go in and counter jungle even further with the dueling power he's going to be having on the Lee Sin. And all in all, Reeker, I think he misses one wave. He's going to be able to... Actually, might be 2 waves on it, but either way, on the Ryze, we talked about it. You have to try and find some early game leverage. Dropping waves like this is essential to try and get some point of attack in this game. So Larssen will be able to pick up 1 plate on the last auto attack, and can possibly just shove this one, get some help from Malrang if it's needed, and go for a reset himself.
And that is a good bit of play there by Mad Lions. They knew Trymbi didn't have the flash from the initial engage. They knew that they could at least catch him out, if not catch both Comp and Trymbi out. And because they still had these summoners, and Comp actually pushing forward at Kaiser. And it's still a flash for Comp. Riptide's going to get the slow. Comp will flash away, but the chase is just there. Kaiser has a Zenith play to Comp. That flash was way too early. Trymbi with no flash once again. Mad Lions just decimating this bottom lane. 2 kills once again. 1 for Elyoya, 1 for Unforgiven. Mad Lions on the board.
Comp was expecting the reset, but it was a slow push he was having being pushed into him. He could have waited, he could have been patient, but he decided to step up. And Mad Lions, they were there to punish. Once again, making the early game work for them, albeit it's only a 300 gold lead right now.
Yeah, the plates being picked up in the mid lane and a slight CS advantage in the top lane is definitely going to help Rogue. Odoamne and Armut have kind of been on an island for the last moment, but they're both pretty used to that in these teams.
So let's see what they actually do with this lead, because they need to accelerate it. They need to keep it going. Mad Lions, infamous for never taking the Drake and having so much hell priority. They've already moved Kaiser up here together with Elyoya. He's going to be the point of attack. He's so damn fit already on the Lee Sin. Iron Spy, Quick. Caulfield's Warhammer?
Yep, there we go.
Thank you, there we go. And then moving on towards the Herald. Mid lane shoved in, priority gained. See how much vision you can scatter across the river.
I mean, the issue is, you still have the Onslaught of Shadows Shockwave combination. You still have a huge burst tool from the side of Rogue. Malrang and Larssen can team up, and Mad Lions, they make a 4-8, they get a couple of control wards in, but they don't really get too much out of it. With Comp moving up first here, you can actually see Unforgiven taking the longest route round here to join his team. Didn't want to go through the river, instead takes the safe route to try and get up towards this Rift Herald, because Mad Lions are not giving this one up without a fight.
But TP advantage just came through from the top side for Odoamne. He's come back with that Hold Breaker. He's going to be able to join the team before Mad Lions Armut is, and that makes it essentially a 4 versus 5. So I wonder, Mad Lions, are you going to take this fight for the Herald?
They really want it. You can see it coming out, but the Onslaught Shadow's going to get a knockback. There's a shutdown. Shockwave connects as well, and Kaiser has nowhere to go. Mad Lions, you just reached too greedily. The bottom of the cookie pot was a Shockwave and an Onslaught of Shadows, and Rogue very happy to take 2 kills in the Herald.
And just like that, once again, the game is back in Rogue's favor, and they now get to move the next chess piece because they have the Rift Herald in hand. They get to commit to the place. They already have a stacked up wave in the top side. They can get the turret low, wait for next time Malrang comes around, and then just look for a Herald play.
1 plate already fallen up here. Odoamne farming Razor Beaks, knowing that he's not safe on the bottom side of the map right now. It's good weak side play by him. Understands that Mad Lions have more numbers down there as Elyoya works his way across, and he will just catch the wave as it pushes to the tower. Now Malrang is still in the vicinity. Onslaught of Shadow still on cooldown, about a third of its way towards being backed. Rift Herald a possibility. Comp with the Crescendum decides he doesn't want to push any further. Rogue back away. An 800 gold lead for them at the 10-minute mark.
But down towards the bottom side, they can look for the first Drake if they would like to on the side of Mad Lions. Resets are coming through, so getting the Scuttle and potentially getting the Drake here would seem really nice. But taking a look at the replay, once again, it's a 4 versus 5 situation. And I'm not too sure why Mad Lions is even committing onto this play. As soon as the hook comes out from Trymbi, the play is over. You can see Unforgiven, Reeker, they just forfeit the objective.
Mad Lions, though, do secure their first dragon in this game, and their first dragon of Spring 2021. They have yet to take a first dragon in any of their games, and here they will get their first of 2021.
Let's go!
There we go, woo, celebration!
Well, the thing is, it wasn't really on their own terms. As you can see, they wanted to go for the Rift Herald. They didn't really want the Drake. It was more just because, well, the objective is here. We need to go for it while they're resetting.
If you get a gift that you didn't ask for, you still take the gift. You know, Mad Lions, they're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. They take the Hextech Drake, their first of the split. And as you say, they are still slightly behind. Malrang with 2 kills now. Turbo Chem Tank already complete. It's in a very strong situation, and so are Rogue. And across the course of Spring, they've constantly been very good at closing out leads from this sort of position. You can see 1.3k ahead at 40 minutes as the Realm Warp comes in. Mad Lions, as you say, 5 members top with the Onslaught of Shadows. Oh, it's another awful Realm Warp Comp is caught out a little bit. Shockwave's going to get off towards the side. Unforgiven's able to take out one, but Malrang's still on the chase. Trymbi low. The Realm Warp may be better than I thought it was at the start. Malrang trying to get away, but the root will come out. Shut down. Armut chase towards the side. It's a 3 for 2 so far as Trymbi activates his tap dancing shoes. Fancy feet. Able just to survive the final shot. It was 3 for 2. It looked like it could have been a lot worse for Mad Lions.
Yes, but down towards the bottom side, that's Graves with a hole breaker. So Odo, he's going to be having a field day with this bot side turret with the cannon buffed up minion here. Reeker decides to TP down here just to get the pressure back in their favor. So Mad Lions, they decide to be creative about it. They know if they just handshake the map, they're going to be losing out on the tempo advantage. Because Rogue, they have the Rift Herald in inventory. So they're just looking for a crazy play out of nowhere. And it does work out for them a little bit, but still, Rogue, they're not shut down after a play like that. And as you said yourself, it looked very scary in the beginning. Hecarim stacked onto 3 people, Danish guns onto Comp, trying to get aggressive with it. Unfortunately, not that fed on the Aphelios just yet, and they're still able to continue the team fight on Mad Lion's side.
Larssen was probably half a step too far away from landing a Shockwave on top of that Realm Warp. He was just a hair's breadth away from it. In the end, Mad Lions are able to pick up the team fight win, but losing plates on the bottom side. 3 now taken down there. 3 plates remain on the top, but with the Rift Herald spawning in, those are going to fall lickety split, and it will be gold donated over to Comp. Malrang just shadowing to make sure that the Rift Herald does get its charge in, and one more auto's enough to take out the plate. Comp gets the gold, but he's got no flash. Well, he's got the flash, so he's got no cleanse to escape from this one. Flashes the solar flares, then it's played for the Jayce, and yep, Comp, you get the goal, but you pay for it with your life.
Optimistic flash coming out from Comp, then that's going to be another point of pressure for Mad Lions. Now they can look for plays on him again. Yes, he will have to cleanse later on, but nice pickup on Mad, finding the overstep on Comp. But the gold lead still in Rogue's favor. They picked up the first turret for themselves. They're still getting plates in the mid lane. They're still having a shot from Odoamne on the bot side. And it goes back to the draft again, Medic. There is just a lot of pressure coming out from these picks from the side of Rogue. And they do outscale. So Mad Lions, they are up against the clock.
And the thing is that you can make pick after pick after pick after pick, but you have to get more out of it than just the kill, especially when you're giving up plates. Because you gave up 5 plates top. That's a ton of gold. I'm trying to work out exactly how much. Like 360 times 2 plus 180 is a lot of gold. Okay, and then you gave up 4 plates on the bottom lane, or 3 plates right now, maybe 4, if those minions did their work, which they don't. So you're just giving up a lot of gold across the map, and Rogue will be very happy with the fact, well, they won't be happy with the fact they're dying, but they'll be happy with the way this game's going so far. Sonic Wave hits, Comp dodges back, but the flash in from Elyoya, even with the root. Oh, the damage from Hecarim is absurd! He comes in just in time with the Onslaught of Shadows. Elyoya trying to make something happen, but he couldn't kill off Comp, who had a good Gale Force into Gravitum's stun combination.
Yeah, Gromp getting the healing as well there, just to make it extra finicky for Elyoya. He was looking for the play. And it was admirable, but stays alive. And once again, every time Matt is committing a play, at best, they're kind of trading even. They're never really getting the pick of him.
Matt just won. Man, this is just action.
Oh, they should get them this time around. They are so isolated.
Comp is all on his lonesome. Trymbi's going to try and root up one as Reeker almost falls to the Moonlight Vigil. The stun, Reeker does die. It will be a 2-for-1 trade. The curtain's open. Comp's still alive somehow. Did enough damage that Armut's now not in the best of shapes. Rogue on the chase. It was 2-for-1, now it's 2-for-2, and they're looking to make it 3. Kaiser able to walk out just about, but Rogue once again answering back in the top side.
That's the thing again, it looks so Mad Lions dominated, and somehow they still just trade even in an exchange like that Matt is committing to, and it's still favorable to you. You get to push in the wave, you get to take care of the neutral objectives, you can move down towards the bot side now with Infernal Soul respawning, or Infernal Drake rather, no soul involved just yet.
Not quite yet, but such a strong performance so far by Rogue. You can see what Mad Lions want to do, can't you, Guldborg? They want the tempo up. They want fight after fight. They want skirmish after skirmish.
They know that's what they need to go
for.
for. Exactly. You're completely right, Medding. And that's... Let's take a look at the replay once again. It's looking good initially, but Comp playing around nicely with this one. Calibrum just outside of range, and Reeker, just this short range on Ryze that we so often talk about, is not able to get his aggression on towards Comp. He kites it out, almost kites out the Aphelios ultimate, but goes down to the Ignite. And the rest of Rogue, yeah, the cavalry, it's already here. They're ready to show up and trade the kills back.
Malrang, well and truly the cavalry this game. 3-1-3 now. Winged Moonplate complete alongside that turbo. Chemtank also has the plate of steel caps, and looks like Rogue are going to give up this dragon. Trymbi forced away. Odoamne continues to be a thorn in Mad Lion's side as he will push in towards that top lane. 2 dragons do go to Mad, but we often see this 2 dragon for a couple of Herald trade, and then after we get towards that 3rd dragon, Rogue can look to take more and more fights around those objectives. This will be a tier 2 going down, and with it a 3,000 gold lead for Rogue.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Look at Odoamne. He's just gone completely unnoticed throughout this entire game. He's level 12, and he's sitting at 173 farm, 16 minutes into the game. Already got the Hullbreaker, making his moves on towards the shield bow as well. He's gonna get scary on a side lane as well, someone you have to deal with. So it's no longer just about the team fight you have to be worried about on Rogue's side. It's also dealing with Odoamne on a side lane. And if you allocate too many resources on his side of the map, well, Rogue is just gonna be responding back on the other side of the map.
After a difficult week 5, Rogue seems to be bouncing back. Mad Lions still struggling a little bit in the middle of the pack. If they lose here, it actually puts them just outside of playoff contention. They would be sitting in a solitary 7th, 5 and 7. XL and Vitality fighting for that final 6th playoff spot. Realm Warp coming out once again, though, as Larssen needs to try and get away from this one. Uses the flash, but Reeker's there for the chase. Odoamne puts down a smoke screen, but doesn't really have much else to help. Larssen trying to get away, but with the curtains open, he will be shut down. Reeker using this Realm Warp very effectively in this early to mid game.
Great punish there from the side of Reeker, showing up against Larssen there, 1-1 and 6. Yes, he's down 10 CS, but Reeker has been struggling, and so far he remains a little bit consistent, at least this game. And you gotta give it to Mad Lions for that punish. Larssen was easily overstepped there. The rest of his team was on reset, while he was a little bit slow on the play.
But still, Rogue in control of the game, you have to say. 3,000 gold ahead. You can see Larssen so in control. He's taking a little lie back in the player cam, mulling over what caused his death, what position he was in, and what he can do next. TP to the mid lane is the call. Has that Leandries already complete. Unforgiven is 3-1 and 3 on this Jhin as well. Malrang locked up, solar
Trymbi's
flare
around.
coming out, but here's Trymbi. Death charge gonna get the knock up on Solar Shadows, only gets the knock back onto Kaiser. Trymbi's just 1v1ing Unforgiven right now. Gets the root onto Kaiser as well. Larssen looking for the chase. No shockwave for him though. Mad Lions ready to pounce. Their pride on the line here as the root lands once again. Sonic Wave from Elyoya has the flash kick. Decides against following up that call of the Q.
But still, they get to push out Rogue a little bit, and they can move their members down towards the bot side, where Armut's currently pushing in a wave. Unforgiven, though, he's going to be left alone, and that leaves Rogue with the ability to finally take down the mid lane turret.
Both summoners off Unforgiven as well. No curtains for him either. He will just back away from the tower. Mid lane tier 1 does fall. Answered by Mad on the bottom side of the map. That control that they just gained in this bottom
Reeker,
side
are you
jungle
getting
allows
caught
them
here?
to do it. As you say, Reeker may be getting caught, but Phase Rush is going to help him out quite a lot. Shockwave is available for Larssen, but is yet to join the rest of Rogue in their jungle.
And just like that, they get the resets through. Baron spawning in less than 1 minute as well, but none of the teams ready to make that an objective just yet. So it is very much still going to be about the Drakes. And Mad Lions, with their early game, they have managed to pick themselves up 2 Drakes. Not a position we quite often see them in, but it's putting them in a position where they can try and contest for a soul before Rogue gets out of hand if they can keep the pressure on these Drakes.
Mad Lions really need that 3rd Drake just to keep that clock ticking over, as you say, Guldborg. We'll highlight how well Unforgiven has been playing, not only this game, but across the course of Spring so far. 3-1 and 3 here, especially during the early portions of the season. He was one of the rocks that Mad Lions were able to play around, especially his Jinx. Kaiser and Elyoya look for Trymbi here. Shockwave's going to come in. Trymbi just walks around the walls to land that hook, and Kaiser's going to be rooted with a Gravitum. There's just nowhere to go, no place to move for the Leona. She will fall. And Mad Lions caught a little bit out as they were looking to make a pick of their own.
Yeah, a bit of a flip there, was stuck on Vision, and just super easy for the rest of Rogue to try and come up there and collapse. So now, death timers are still low, so they will be able to reset for Drake. Rogue, they're going to be pushing out the top side, potentially set up a slow push, something that can favor them while the Drake starts spawning. Then Odoamne down towards the bot side. Well, he is relentless with the split push. He's picked up the shield, bro, now. Still got the Hullbreaker in hand. He's going to be a real struggle to try and 1v1 on a side lane. Teleport is still active, so he can push in this next lane. He can move up towards where Larssen is currently, and then he can try and apply some extra pressure on the top side.
Let's see exactly how Rogue and Mad Lions do want to navigate this next fight. Odoamne now working his way up through the river. Control wards in both teams' inventories. You can see them a sea of pink for both these teams. Only Reeker actually in this game without a control ward at the moment.
Decided to stick around though, and I don't know if Mad Lions know this. Usually you would just reset because you know you have TP, so they're Gonna be walking forward. Reeker, sweeper and lens.
So he's isolated for when he put the smoke screen down. Now he joins Malrang. That isolation will fall off on the hull breaker. No more resistances for Odoamne. Malrang is in a good position to flank here. Ocean Drake, the option. Malrang going in. There's the ghost.
that's huge.
Shadows is huge, as you say. The solar flag coming out as well, but Mad Lions just ripped to pieces in the river. Elyoya has to dance out, but Comp gets a double, and Dragon is their prize. Rogue will take it. Their first of the game, delaying Soul Point for Mad.
And that was the draft difference the desk was talking about as well. It becomes so difficult to find these
Baron.
team fights. And now Baron, as you say, it is on the table. Elyoya is still alive. His smite is down only for the moment, but it's quickly coming back up. And Rogue, they can try and force this one.
So the only issue for Rogue is that Comp doesn't have the best of guns to do it, but you have two marksmen, Odoamne and Comp, will start to work their way through this Baron. Comp trying to switch that Gravitum out for a different gun, and Elyoya actually locked up by Trymbi and Larssen and just killed. Now the question is, can Trymbi and Larssen get out alive? They can. Left to their own devices by the Mad Lions, and Rogue will secure the Baron, the Ocean, a 6,000 gold lead and control of the game.
Let's have a look at it once again, because it's Rogue who's collapsing on Mad Lions. They're the one who's in a split position that allows them to come in for the maneuver, the flank, but Malrang Flash is not in time. And with all the ultimates layered on top, it just becomes impossible for Mad Lions to even begin the fight. It's over before they know it.
Just burst from 100 to 0. Reeker, no recourse to answer. Would have had to be a very fast finger on that flash trigger. And now with Baron, Rogue will do what they so often do and accelerate this gold lead. I showed it a little bit earlier on, but I'll show it again. At 14 minutes, they average 1.3k ahead. At 25, 3,000. And with Baron, they average 4.3 thousand gold gained. Here, they're sitting at 1.5, but they've got 2 minutes left on the clock. Let's see how large that number will grow over the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, you don't want to take them on in a snowballing fight. They're one of the best snowballers we have here in the league, and you can see Mad Lions, they're trying to attack the weak side King, but he smells it, he knows it, his experience. It's too vast, it's too deep, while Rogue on the other side of the map, yes, you can take our outside top turret. We're going to be taking your tier 2 turret down towards the bottom, and we're going to continue with the push. It's a stacked up wave from Comp, and Trymbi, Malrang, they're not even envisioned yet. Now, the laners of Mad Lions, they're backing.
Importantly, though, Larssen is pushing up mid-wave as well. That's going to be at the tier 2 as this one gets towards the inhibitor tower. So Rogue can back away from this inhibitor and still get even more out of this Baron buff. They did lose, of course, that tier 1 in the top side, but Larssen shields himself up. That cannon's still going to do a bit of work. Rogue will now start to back away from the bottom lane. Larssen just letting the cannon minion in the mid lane chip away at that tower. Just needs a couple more auto sonic wave. Smite available for Elyoya, but you don't really want to dive into Larssen, who's level 15 right now. And Odoamne now, with a minute left on the Baron, will pull in this top wave as well. Try and sync these up if you can. Bot and top at the same time. You can try and pull Mad Lions around the map just a little bit. You can see Malrang pinging. Says, I need to Baron buff these minions because then they get a little bit quicker, which means Odoamne can push in the wave at the same time. We can split Mad Lions across the map, and Mad Lions have to pull the trigger on a fight if they're going to find it. Now, this is a good position to isolate someone if you can.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, even if they don't want to look for a fight, they can just scatter out the jungle. They can just take care of all the resources, neutral resources that Mad Lion would be able to get, and just stop them from it. Elyoya trying to find a pick, trying to fight someone who's out of position, but they're just not finding it.
Trymbi gets the hook. Odoamne now joins the fight. Kaiser with a solar flare will be able to escape, but that is another inhibitor tower down. Rogue were able to wait patiently. 3,300 gold off the Baron. They're pushing in the top wave now. They don't need a wave in bot or mid because those towers have already fallen. They're looking just to break open the base. Raise it to the ground. No towers will stand in the face of Rogue. Third inhibitor tower of the push. 7 seconds left on the Baron, and it is clean as you like. Surgical here from Rogue, just taking everything away from Mad.
It's a Rogue masterclass, and it's exactly why we just highlighted their Baron power play. They are the best in the league to accelerate a gold lead with Baron, and you see it just here, taking away all the towers except the Nexus turrets, leaving all the inhibitors naked in the base of Mad Lions.
We went from about 1,000, 2,000 gold lead to 8,000 in the matter of 3-4 minutes. From the Ocean to the Baron to now all the inhibitor towers falling. Rogue so in control of this game, and Mad Lions with their composition. You wanted to get ahead in the early game. You managed it a little bit, but now you are facing down a comp that is so difficult to deal with.
And like a hydraulic press, Rogue is the pressure Mad Lions is going to be having a rough time dealing with now. One lost team fight, you lose the game. That's just it. You just need one lane to push down. And that's Rogue taking care of all you have left here in your base. Now Drake rather, 20 seconds. I just see no way Mad Lions can actually contest it. They need to try and get the neutral resources they can in the jungle. They need to try and pick up whatever gold they can on the map, while Rogue is down towards the bottom side.
The only benefit for Mad is that none of their inhibitors fell in that last push. No super minions are pushing
really big silver lining, by the way.
Yes, it's small, but you got to take everything you can as Mad. As much as Elyoya tried in the early game, had incredible ganks, teamed up with Kaiser well. They just weren't able to keep that advantage coming into the mid game, and now objective bounties perhaps on their side. They can get a little bit of extra gold. Elyoya once again caught out though as Malrang looks for the chase. Still has the Ghost. Reeker gets the realm whoop, and Elyoya flashes to it. Kaiser, though, still on the blast cone, will use that to try and get himself away, and Malrang's not having that. Chases him down with the Ghost. Comp going in. Zenith Blade, Elyoya there. Kaiser, though, look at the damage. Larssen just gets him out. Kaiser forced away. Malrang's chasing out Armut. It's 4v5 on the top side of the map, and it's Rogue who are winning 2-0 in a 4v5. You can see Odoamne, he was working his way up the river, but now he's like, I might as well just push minions, because that's all I've been doing the rest of this game. Has worked so well for Rogue. And Mad Lions, even at a numbers advantage, just could not find a fight. Flash hook available. Reeker caught, has a flash of his own depth charge coming out. TP now used as Larssen wants to join the fray. Reeker flashes, but the chase is on, and Reeker, you got nowhere to go. Moonlight Vigil gets the lockdown. Unforgiven falls, double for Larssen, and you have to feel that's game for Rogue.
Big minion wave in the mid lane, big minion wave in the bot lane. Rogue, they should be able to pick up the kill here, or pick up the win here. We talked about it. The draft from the get-go was just a better scaling composition. It was a better team fight composition, and Rogue, they put on a clinic today.
28 minutes on the clock, and only for about 5 of those did you feel that Mad Lions really had this game in the palm of their hand. Rogue, though, took everything, gave nothing, and with it, they'll take some lives at the end as well. Rogue, Odoamne finally on the board, gets himself a double just to pad that KDA. But Rogue back to winning ways in week 6.
Yeah, and you can see them, they're just laughing, they're having fun in the studio right now. They know that game was in the bag from the get-go. As soon as they started picking up all the small victories in the mid-game, there was really no way back from Mad Lions. They had to hope for a miracle, some sort of creative play out of the back pocket, and you could see that was what Mad Lions were looking for as well. They were trying to make so many map movements with the Ryze ultimate, but every goddamn time a Rogue member was just there to punish and ready for the play.
Great stuff by Rogue. Read the map incredibly well. Credit to Mad Lions and Elyoya. The early game, there was some explosive moments. They were trying. They were finding picks, they were finding fights, but every time they just seemed to come out on the wrong side of the battle. Rogue, though, with their 10th win, pretty much solidify themselves into playoffs. We've never had a team get 10 wins and not make it into playoffs. I can't tell you statistically that they're guaranteed in, because there's way too many numbers to crunch there, but for all intents and purposes, they are through. You can vote for one of them in your Kia player of the game at LEC on Twitter. Malrang, Larssen, and Trymbi are your options.
And it's difficult who to give it to, because it was really all of Rogue coming together as well. Malrang finally on the Hecarim as well. He was completely counter-jungled in the beginning. Remember, he got 3 buff, still fighting a way down in that bot side, get this bot lane ahead, catching the Mad Lions bot lane off guard. And all of Rogue, once again, completely just showing. Last week, it was just a fluke. It was something that we were struggling with a little bit in communication, game plan, whatever it was. This time around, there's no side of it.
None at all. We'll talk to Larssen right after the break, while Odoamne will be our guest on PGL. You definitely don't want to miss that.
No, you don't.
Good on Odo.
Yeah.